paint to paint a car, I usually overbuy too much. Am I right, Minnie?
Yep.
And I do that on purpose because the cars that I paint are not your minor collision jobs. They're not brand new cars. They're old classic cars. And I like to make sure that I have enough paint to not just paint the car, but I like to have enough paint where I can keep some at my shop and also give the owner some in case he wrecks his car, because I might never see the owner again. So when I buy paint, I usually overbuy it. Like let's say when I'm doing the Mustang, for instance. When I was ready to paint this car, I went ahead and ordered 1.3 gallons of paint on the red, and I went ahead and got 2 quarts on the black, because this is an inside-out job. Everything had to be painted, and it's a big, major paint job. So, of course, naturally, I want to make sure that I have enough paint of all the paint that was mixed up at one time, because when you go back to these places and you get your paint remixed because you didn't have enough, what happens, Minnie?
It won't match.
It's a different color. I don't care what you say. I don't care if the same guy mixed it. For some reason, it turns out to be a little tint of a shade darker or lighter, and it never works out. So, what I'm leading up to here is this right here. Now I had to use my frame machine and my come-alongs and all that to pull this out, straighten it out, and by the time we got done, the owner decided and asked me if I would go ahead and spray the whole car. And the reason he asked me to do that is because the paint job was pretty shitty. We're not going to go into that, but we're repainting the whole car. Now, I want you to pay attention. I'm not painting any door jambs here. I'm not painting the dashboard. I'm not painting under the trunk or under the hood or under the fenders. So I only want to buy enough paint to paint the car and then have just a little bit left over for the owner. Am I making sense here?
Yeah.
And the problem that we have is right here. It looks like we have a sag, Minnie the Body Shop Girl. We'll have to let that dry, and I'll have to keep that in my memory bank here, that when I'm spraying that, that's a bad area to spray on, and I'll have to watch that. The rest of the car looks great, it's silky smooth, and everything's covered. We'll have to let that dry, and I'll have to wet sand that down to get that imperfection out, because that's an eyesore. You see what I'm saying? Look at my eye when I walk past it. Okay, thank you. We went ahead and prepped this car up. We've been working on it for a week. It's just basically an overall paint job. I'm going to use the flats clear on it. It's going to be rat rod blue. But the real deal is that when we bought the paint for this car, we got 1 gallon of paint. But I don't know if you noticed on that vehicle over there, that is one big car. That's like painting a pickup truck almost. It's humongous. I had to mix up 2.5 quarts of paint just to put a coat of epoxy primer on it. So I'm kind of worried that I'm not going to have enough paint here, because when I paint a car, I put it on pretty thick. Am I right?
Yeah.
I use old school spray guns, and I really lay the paint down because I want it to cover. I don't want to be seeing blotches in it. I want to see tiger stripes and streaks. So I do lay it down. So my concern is, since this is a hand-mixed paint to match what he already had, because like I said, the dash and the door jambs are already painted, this is hand-mixed, I can't go mix anymore. I'm pretty much stuck, and if I run out, I'm screwed. So the whole point to this video is what are we going to do, my friend Pete, if we don't think we have enough paint?
I know. Can I answer?
No, because I'm not done asking the question yet. If I don't have enough paint, I'm worried about painting a big giant car like this, not my little Volkswagen, that would take about 2 quarts of paint, but a big giant car that's going to take a hell of a long time to paint. What am I going to do to compensate for that, to make sure I have enough paint?
I know.
Okay, what? Minnie the Body Shop Girl.
You're going to go in your paint cabinet and you're going to find some other blue paint.
That's right.
And you're going to use that for the first coat.
Okay, and that's what we're leading up here. Follow me. I'm going to show you how you are going to save money and time and make sure to ensure that your car is painted the color that you want it. So if we come in here, we're going to see a shelf that my friend Pete has that is specifically designed for all of the paint that I have left over. And there's a lot of multi-colors here, and the reason I keep this paint is for the reason that Minnie just said, is because in case I don't think I have enough paint, I can put a coat of this blue on the car to go ahead and do an overall cover job, and then I can go ahead and use his color on top of that. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Now,
Smart idea.
this is a situation, if you paint a lot of cars, always keep the paint. Do never throw it away for this reason right here. If we look in this paint cabinet right here, I want to show you here's some more paint. Now this is my airbrush paint that I use for airbrushing. But if we look in this cabinet here, I want to show you, here's a bunch of other paint. Here's a blue right here. We got a dark blue here. Here's another midnight blue. So we got a lot of different colors that we can use as a tint to put on our epoxy primer. Now if you're that guy that does not have any extra paint, you can always go to your paint body shop supply store, and I guarantee you that they're going to have a bunch of mixed match paints that they mixed up that they will sell you dirt cheap.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Oops paint.
That's what it's called. Oops paint. You can buy it very, very cheap. So that's the situation we got, and that's what I wanted to show you. And another question that I'm sure you're going to ask in the comments below, and I want to thank everybody that asks and leaves comments, and also please subscribe to my channel because that's showing me that you're learning from what I'm teaching you. But before you ask that question, I want to give you the answer because I know someone's going to ask, can I use brand X as my hiding coat, and can I use brand Z or A as my top coat? The answers to that is I suggest that you don't do that. You stick with the same brand, and when I say brand, I'm talking, if it's made by PPG, yes, you can intermax the DBC versus the shop line. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, because it's basically exactly the same paint. If you're using DuPont, you can use whatever brands they make as long as they are equivalent to being a base coat paint. So I would say, suggest and do use the same brand and stick with the brand that you use so you can get used to that brand, and that's the brand that you work with the best. Once you start building up your paint supply like I have, you'll have no problem to come back in to your old stock. Now I want you to look at this. This is a lighter blue. This is light blue. This is a little darker. I'm going to mix these two together, and then you're going to have enough paint where you'll be able to go in there, shoot a coat of paint on the whole car, and be relieved not to say, I didn't buy enough paint, or damn, I got to go buy some more and mix both of them together because I'm afraid I'm not going to be able to paint the car.
Now, let me just add one thing since you just said that. If you do have to go buy more paint, you do need to mix the first gallon with the second gallon.
If you think at the time before you're ready to paint, my suggestion is calculate what you think you're going to use and go buy more paint before you paint the car. You know, calculate how much does my spray gun spray out. I use 2.5 quarts of sealer. All right, how much is my gallon of paint going to mix up? Am I going to have enough to put 3 coats of paint on? If you don't think you are, go to your paint and body shop supply store, get some more paint, mix it up however you think it should be, or get the factory color like these two are. This one here is a Daytona blue on a Nissan, and I believe this is a Ford blue off a collision job that we did. Yeah, this is the Ford blue. And, you know, then once you get back to your shop or garage, mix those two together thoroughly, make sure everything's mixed 100%, and you'll be okay. This paint right here is leftover paint from jobs. I'm going to mix those up, and I will mix a little bit of reducer with them because these already have reducer in them. And then I will spray one full wet coat on there for coverage, and then come back with my good paint and cover that. This is Pete, my friend Pete, your friend Pete, showing you tech tips, helpful hints, and suggestions on not just how to do stuff, but also save money. Well, it's 10:45 at night, and this was supposed to be a job that I was only supposed to do collision repair too. That's all. The guy calls me up on the phone and he says, I have a car that has a collision repair and I want you to fix it. I live down here. I said, okay, that's cool. When he gets the car here, of course he told me, he said he had a few other things he wanted me to do. When he gets the car here, we saw the car, we saw what we had to do to it, and I told him at that time that I will put the flat clear on it. I am not gonna clear coat it, color sand and buff it. He agreed to do that. Well, I hate to tell you out there, when you get a run in the flat clear, you cannot color sand it out and buff it. If you get a run in it, you have to clear coat the fucking thing over. So, I was in the middle of, or should I say the beginning of, painting the fucking car. I get up here to the end of the fucking deck lid, and I'm getting ready to go up, sweep up the back window area, and we find some fucking runs right here. Now, let me go ahead and explain it to you even farther. I had 3 quarts, mixable quarts of clear ready to spray to put the last coat of clear on. For me to get those runs out, I have to wait for the paint to dry. So I manipulated the situation by using my heat gun, then I cooled it down, then I waited an hour, and all this time, I got the other clear that's mixed, ready to paint. This shit isn't cheap. So I go ahead, get the fucking run out, I had to blend some paint into it, I take the clear, I go ahead and blend some clear into it, I had to let that dry for 30 minutes. Then we get to the fucking car. Now, from me waiting around 2.5 hours, I have to start clear coating over. And I am using the clear that I mixed 2.5 hours ago, which is a reactive clear because you have to use a hardener in it. I am clear coating it. Here we go. Let's clear coat it. And it's drying faster than I'm putting it on. It's like lacquer. I am busting my ass to get the clear on. We get all the way up here and it's really starting to go on dry. It's going on drier than I can keep up with it. I am opening my spray gun up the widest I can to spray a big pattern and put it on as thick as I can without getting runs. We go all the way around the car. It's still got dry spots. Here's a spot right here, I'm sure you can see. And I sprayed that panel right after I sprayed this hood. From the overspray of that panel hitting this panel, we have now got a line, a dry line in the fucking paint. You can see it right there. We go down the car and you can see dry spots in the door. You can see streaks of dry spots because the clear has been sitting there for 2.5 hours mixed up. It is not melting in, it is not blending itself, it's not doing the job it's supposed to. Let's look at this dry line right there. Yes, we can see that in the camera, it's there. So, to fix this problem, the only thing that I can do to get it done is I will have to go buy 2 or 3 more quarts of this fucking clear so I can put a full wet coat of clear on the fucking car to make it all work out right. And that's the situation you have when you're spraying this flat clear, semi-gloss clear, or should I say hot rod flat paint. You get these imperfections in it, there's nothing you can do. Am I supposed to keep painting the car and now I'm spending my money on this guy's car to paint the car? To be honest with you, we can go ahead and give him the car like it is, and after he washes it several times, it will all blend itself in and all the dry spots will go away, because that's how this flat clear is. You can't wax it, you can't buff it, you can't do nothing with it, but spray it on and however the fuck it goes on, that's what you get. It's a done deal. Does anybody know how big this car is? Does anybody know how big this car is? That trunk right there is probably enough paint to paint this back end. Right here, just the paint to paint this back end is enough paint to paint this whole Volkswagen, or at least 3/4 of it. Anybody that knows 1944, they're gonna know that this is a monster paint job. And not just that, it's a round car. Everything on it is round. It is a nightmare to paint. It is a fiasco. It is a painter's nightmare to paint a car like this. You should get double, triple, quadruple money to paint a car like this because it is such a monstrosity of a paint job to do.
It's a cocksucker. It's a son of a bitch motherfucking cocksucker's what it is, because it's a son of a bitch. It's like a fucking bastard.
What is my friend Pete gonna do? I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't know. I'm gonna come back in the morning. Like I said, it's almost 11 fucking o'clock here. I've been painting it since about 3:30 this afternoon. We ran into complications, this, that, and the other, of course. I'm thinking of leaving it like it is and telling him to go wash the car, but then on the other hand, I'm looking at the running board. And I see dry spots there. And I'm looking at the fucking door. And I see dry spots here, underneath the fucking handles and everywhere else that we're looking at. I see all these imperfections that are arising. So what am I gonna do? I guess I'm gonna go ahead and buy some more clear. I'm gonna come back tomorrow morning and I will put one more final coat of fuck off clear on this car. And then tomorrow night, I will come back and I will put the car together and hopefully we can get it out of the shop, never to fucking see it again. So this, what you're looking at, this is what really goes on in a paint and body shop when you're doing custom work. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. All that shit you see on TV is fake. And if you got a shop that you've never had fucking problems before, then guess what? You're the only motherfucker in the world that is doing it that way. This is Pete. I gotta go home. And you know what? I am fucking depressed, pissed off, and out of fucking whack all at once. Turned out to be a quick in and out fucking let's get it done, stop everything in the shop that we're doing job so I can get it out and get back on other jobs that were here way before his and get down the road with life. That ain't how it turned out. I gotta go, take it easy, and we will see you when this fucking thing is fucking done.
Don't be clucked by the cleanup set. The overhead pump and surf. Getting work is part of